Ava hadn't intended to stumble into danger when she began taking photos of that vehicle. She was simply a young person with a smartphone, observing details that others overlooked. However, when the identical van continued driving around the neighborhood, sporting various license plates, she recognized something suspicious was happening. The images she took would reveal a criminal operation and make her target. Tuesday was Ava's favorite day, not due to her classes. Being in seventh grade was acceptable, though unremarkable. Rather, Tuesdays allowed her final period to finish ahead of schedule, giving her time to secure her preferred location outside Miller's shop before the evening rush of workers arrived. The sidewalk edge beside the periodical rack offered an ideal vantage point with excellent illumination during late afternoon hours. She positioned herself with crossed legs, holding her device at a low angle, observing life unfold around her as though she were invisible. While most children her age stayed absorbed in digital platforms or video games, Ava chose to document the reality before her eyes. She captured Mr. Capper's technique of arranging citrus fruits into flawless pyramid formations. She noticed Mrs. Graham's habit of looking in both directions repeatedly before stepping into the road, regardless of whether vehicles were present. She photographed the canine that appeared outside the drugstore each afternoon, secured to an identical pole, demonstrating patience like carved rock. Her father had instructed her in this practice prior to his military deployment. Individuals hurry through life, he mentioned while adjusting how she held his aging camera equipment. They overlook recurring elements and behavioral patterns. Vulnerability occurs during moments when observation ceases. She had been 8 years old at that time. Now at 12, he remained stationed in a foreign location she struggled to pronounce, communicating whenever internet connectivity permitted. Her mother attempted to compensate for the emptiness he'd left behind. Yet certain teachings embedded themselves more profoundly than any attempts at comfort could achieve. This explained why the van captured her awareness. The vehicle was white with an aged appearance, featuring a damaged door on the passenger side and a scrape running along the back panel suggesting collision with a stationary object. It drove past Miller's establishment around 5 o'clock, moving sufficiently slowly that Ava raised her eyes from composing a photograph of the pedestrian crossing. The person behind the wheel didn't direct attention toward the shop. Instead, he gazed leftward across the roadway at the Iron King's headquarters building. Ava had observed the motorcycle club members in the area. They wore leather garments with club insignia, operated loud engines, and possessed the type of commanding presence that caused people to either stare directly or deliberately avert their gaze. According to her mother, they maintained privacy, operated a legitimate auto repair business, and contributed to the community toy collection campaign each December. Ava perceived them as more fascinating than frightening. The van completed a circuit around the block. She noted the time before resuming her observation. 3 minutes elapsed before it reappeared. She raised her mobile device. She maintained an inconspicuous appearance, resembling just another adolescent capturing images. She photographed the van at the midpoint of its turn, applying slight magnification. The registration plates became sufficiently clear for reading. The dent appeared distinctly visible within the frame. On Wednesday, an identical hour, the same van followed the same path, though the license plates had been altered. Completely different plates. Ava straightened her posture. She navigated backward through her photograph collection for comparison purposes. Identical scrape mark, identical dent configuration, different registration numbers. Her father's instruction returned to her thoughts. Patterns hold significance. Alterations within established patterns matter even more. Thursday found her arriving with preparation. She brought spare battery power. She selected a position offering superior visibility of the street. The van materialized earlier than the previous day's appearance. The pattern was breaking. Something was shifting in the routine. On this occasion, two individuals occupied the vehicle's interior, both a driver and a passenger. Both directed their attention toward the clubhouse rather than the roadway. The passenger grasped something, possibly a phone or camera device. They appear to be recording notes or capturing images. Ava documented everything: wide-angle photographs, magnified close-up shots, the adhesive bumper decoration reading "Sees Life One Day" that had vanished by the following appearance. Every frame received a timestamp marking .by Friday's conclusion. She possessed a collection of images that constructed a narrative she hadn't yet completely comprehended. However, her intuitive sense, truly her father's intuitive sense, indicated its importance. Friday afternoon brought three Iron Kings members outside their facility, smoking tobacco and sharing laughter about some matter. Ava had never conversed with them, possessed no knowledge of their identities, yet she understood that hesitation could prove fatal. Clarity demanded action. She approached their location. The closest individual, hairless, possessing broad shoulders and tribal artwork extending up his neck, gazed downward at her with more surprise than distrust. "Can I help you, kid?" Ava's heart pounded intensely, yet her voice emerged with steadiness. "Could I obtain a contact number for whoever manages security concerns?" The men traded meaningful looks. One displayed a smile of curiosity. "For what purpose?" She displayed her phone. "I believe someone is conducting surveillance on your group." This declaration secured their complete attention. The bald individual crouched to her eye level, his expression turning serious. "Show me." Ava scrolled through the photographs with deliberate slowness and methodical precision. Tuesday's van appearance, Wednesday's plate substitution, Thursday's passenger wielding the camera, Friday's modified sticker. She'd arranged them within a dedicated folder. Timestamps were labeled, angles were documented. The man's jaw muscles tightened. "Who are you?" "I'm Ava. I simply capture photographs. I observed this situation and it seemed incorrect." He studied her for an extended moment before retrieving his phone. "Provide me with your contact number. Someone will want to examine this material." She recited her digits. He entered them. "My name is Ricky. You performed well by noticing this. Genuinely well." Ava acknowledged with a nod before walking back toward her residence, her hands clutching her phone with more force than required. That evening, her device vibrated with a message. "Received your photographs. Appreciate the warning. We'll address this matter." Ava stared at the communication, then at the images still displayed on her screen. The van with its changing identity, the faces visible inside, blurred yet present. She contemplated her father, about observation, about how danger travels quietly until someone illuminates it. She chose not to respond, simply placing her phone aside before assisting her mother with the evening meal. She remained unaware that across the city, serious discussions were beginning because a 12-year-old girl had trusted her own perception. Stone rejected the concept of coincidences. 20 years of membership with the Iron Kings had eliminated that belief. Therefore, when Ricky transmitted photographs from some child's mobile device, complete with timestamps, photographic angles, and license plate documentation resembling professional surveillance. He didn't dismiss the information. He summoned a gathering. Saturday morning found 6 members assembled in the rear office of their automotive facility. Someone silenced the music player. Stone distributed printed versions of Ava's photographs across the work surface like courtroom evidence. Identical van appearing for multiple days, different registration plates each occasion. He indicated the images sequentially. Tuesday through Friday. Passengers possessing a camera or phone directed toward us, not toward the street. Marcus, serving as their financial officer, leaned in for closer examination. Could be law enforcement. Police don't exchange plates, Stone stated, and they don't circle the neighborhood like they're calculating timing. Ricky folded his arms. The child who delivered this information is 12 years old, resides 2 blocks distant, simply sits outside Miller's establishment capturing images for enjoyment. Apparently stated it seemed wrong. Intelligent child, muttered Len, the eldest member in attendance. More intelligent than most adults. Stone's phone vibrated. He glanced downward. Message from Tommy Vega, Iron King's chapter located 3 towns away. He transmitted the photographs that morning inquiring whether anything appeared familiar. The response chilled his blood. Holy hell, that's the identical van we observed 2 weeks prior to Jackson's motorcycle being stolen. Thought it was meaningless. Stone read the message aloud. The room fell silent. Marcus straightened his posture. Jackson's Harley, custom constructed, $40,000 easily, disappeared from his driveway in under 3 minutes. Northridge experienced 2 bike thefts last month, Len contributed. Both high-value models, both following someone reporting a suspicious van in the vicinity days beforehand. Stone was already messaging other contacts. Within 60 minutes, responses flooded in. Identical story, different municipalities. White van, damaged panel, conducting reconnaissance days ahead. Professional, mobile, organized operation. They're not targeting random victims, Stone explained, spreading out a geographical map. They're selecting clubs, choosing motorcycles worth a risk, observing routines, security vulnerabilities, timing patterns. And we were scheduled next, Ricky stated quietly. Stone confirmed with a nod. He examined the photographs again, the passenger's obscured face visible in one capture, caught mid-rotation. He forwarded it to a contact who maintained connections, individuals who knew other individuals. WY Sunday afternoon, they possessed identifications. Carter Bowl and Derek Lang, components of a criminal organization operating across state boundaries, selling stolen motorcycles through illegal dismantling operations in Pennsylvania and Delaware. They'd maintained caution until a 12-year-old equipped with a camera phone accidentally constructed a case file. Stone coordinated discreetly. No police involvement yet. Excessive questions, excessive bureaucratic complications. However, the network was robust. Clubs communicated. Information spread regarding a crew working the circuit. Eyes opened. They didn't require official badges to address this situation. They already possessed something superior. A network extending across 3 states, constructed on trust and shared identity. Tuesday evening, Carter and Derek attempted to scout a location in Millbrook, 40 minutes northward. 3 members from the local chapter were positioned there, phones recording, simply observing. Visible, undeniable. The crew abandoned the operation. Wednesday brought another attempted location. Identical result. Watchers positioned where none should have existed. Why Thursday? They committed an error. They returned to a garage they'd examined the previous week, presuming the area was unmonitored. It wasn't. Local police department, anonymously informed with descriptions and partial registration numbers, arrived mid-operation. Two suspects entered custody. A third escaped but abandoned a laptop containing routing maps and target lists. Stone received a notification Friday morning. The matter was concluded. He remained in the garage office, staring at Ava's photographs still attached to the wall. A child capturing images. Pure intuition recorded on a phone camera. She dismantled an operation that had stolen over $300,000 in motorcycles across 5 months. And she possessed no awareness. Stone accessed her contact number, the one Ricky had preserved. He typed carefully. The situation is resolved. You are correct to speak. Remain observant. Remain safe. He nearly transmitted it, then deleted the final sentence and composed something different. You possess excellent instincts. Across the city, Ava was photographing how afternoon illumination struck the fountain in Memorial Park, headphones inserted, absorbed in composition. Her phone vibrated. She glanced at the message, smiled slightly, and returned the phone to her pocket. She didn't require details, didn't require acknowledgement. She'd observed something and reported it. That proved sufficient. However, in the rear office of the Iron King's garage, Stone preserved one of her photographs. The clearest capture of the van with plates visible and timestamp marked. He secured it in his desk drawer because certain debts weren't settled with verbal expressions, and he sensed the narrative wasn't finished. Mrs. Graham observed it initially. Tuesday afternoon, while irrigating the petunias in her front garden, she noticed the white van idling 3 residences down the street. Same damaged door she'd seen on the news broadcast weeks earlier, the one connected to those motorcycle thefts. Except this wasn't near the clubhouse location. This was on Maple Street, Ava's street. The driver remained stationary there, engine operating, window partially lowered, waiting up Mrs. Graham was 73 and had survived sufficient experiences to trust her intuition. She approached, garden hose still grasped in hand. Are you lost? The driver, appearing in his early 30s, wore sunglasses despite the cloudy sky, barely acknowledged her. Just waiting for someone. Who? He smiled, though it failed to reach his eyes. Friend of mine. What's their address? The smile disappeared. I'm fine, thanks. Mrs. Graham advanced closer, memorizing his facial features. This is a peaceful street. We notice strangers. He shifted the van into drive mode. Have a pleasant day, ma'am. The van departed slowly, deliberately. Mrs. Graham observed until it turned the corner, then retrieved her phone. She contacted Ava's mother first. No answer. She'd be at the hospital during the middle of her nursing shift. So she called her nephew, who knew an individual who knew the Iron King's .by evening. Stone's phone rang. Vans returned, the voice reported. Not at your location, at the Child Street. Stone was off his motorcycle and moving before the call concluded. He reached out to Ricky and Marcus. Meet me at Maple Street. Immediately. Bring Len. When they arrived, Mrs. Graham was positioned on her porch, arms folded. She described the driver, the questions he'd posed, the manner in which he'd examined Ava's house like he was studying it. He inquired if I knew the girl who captures pictures, Mrs. Graham stated. Didn't use her name. Simply said, the girl with the camera. Stone's jaw clenched. When, 20 minutes ago, Ricky looked at Stone. They know. Of course they know, Stone muttered. He retrieved his phone, calling his contact at the precinct. Off the record, the type of call that didn't process through official channels. The answer wasn't favorable. One of the suspects in custody, an individual named Lang, had mentioned the child with the photos during interrogation. Someone leaked it before the case was sealed. Sloppy work. Dangerous work. Stone ended the call and stood on the sidewalk, staring at Ava's house. Lights illuminated inside, curtains drawn. A 12-year-old girl completing homework, unaware that the cruise sheet exposed still maintained people on the outside, people who desired payback, silence, or both. We maintain surveillance on this, Stone stated quietly. Rotation schedule, eyes on her street, her school route, anywhere she travels regularly. For what duration? Marcus asked. As long as necessary. The following morning, Ava walked to school as usual. She didn't notice the motorcycle parked 2 blocks behind her position. Didn't observe Len leaning against the storefront, phone in hand, tracking her movement. Tea lunch, she occupied the library editing photographs. Outside, Marcus sat in his truck across the street, window cracked, monitoring the entrance. After school, she stopped at Miller's, her customary spot. Ricky was inside purchasing coffee he didn't want, position where he could observe the curb through the window. Ava sensed none of it. Her world remained light and angles and the next quality shot. But her mother noticed. Thursday evening, Sarah returned home from her shift and discovered Stone sitting on her porch steps. She froze, keys in hand. "We need to talk," he said, standing. Inside, he explained everything. The van, the crew, the leak, what it signified. Sarah's hands trembled. "She's 12. She just took pictures." Stone leaned forward, voice steady. "I know, and we're not permitting anything to happen to her. We're handling this situation. No one's approaching her. But you need to know what's occurring. Should I remove her from school? Leave town. Running makes you a target," Stone said. "Staying put with eyes on her keeps her safe. We got people watching." The van appeared once more yesterday, saw us watching back, and departed. "They're testing. We're answering." Sarah pressed her palms to her eyes. "Her dad's overseas. She doesn't have." The words caught in her throat. Stone saw the weight she'd been carrying. Single parent, deployed husband, now this. "She's got us," Stone said simply, "whether she knows it or not." Friday, the van returned. Mid-afternoon, cruising Maple Street again. This time, 4 motorcycles were parked within 2 blocks. Fishable, intentional. The van slowed. The driver saw them, kept going. It didn't return Saturday. Ava asked her mom why Mr. Stone kept stopping by. "He's just checking in," Sarah said carefully, being neighborly. Ava didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. She returned to editing photos on her laptop, a series on shadows and morning light. Outside, Lynn drove past for the 3rd time that hour. Sunday night, Stone received a text from his police contact. 3rd suspect arrested. Tried to leave the state. Laptop had her address saved. You were right to move fast. Stone read it twice, then showed Ricky. "It's done." For now, Ricky asked, but Stone kept the rotation going another week, then another. The van never returned. The threats dissolved into silence. Ava never knew how close it came. Never knew her street had been a battlefield where nothing was ever fired but presence and will. She just kept watching, photographing, catching what others missed. And the Iron Kings kept watching because some debts weren't about gratitude. They were about making sure a kid who trusted her instincts got to keep growing up in a world where that instinct mattered. 3 weeks elapsed before Stone made the call. Ava's mom answered on the second ring, her voice cautious. She still wasn't accustomed to bikers checking in on her daughter like extended family. Sarah, it's Stone. The club's having our annual gathering next Saturday. Barbecue. Families, nothing crazy. We'd like you and Ava to come. There was a pause. Why? Because she's earned it, Stone said simply. And because some things should be said in person. Saturday arrived warm and clear. The Iron King's garage had been transformed. Picnic tables, string lights, a grill smoking with burgers and ribs. Kids ran around with sparklers. Someone's dog chased a football across the lot. Ava walked in beside her mom, camera hanging from her neck out of habit. She scanned the crowd, recognizing faces she'd only seen from a distance. Ricky waved from the grill. Marcus nodded from a corner table. Len smiled, holding a soda instead of the beer everyone else carried. Stone approached, extending a hand to Sarah first, then crouching slightly to meet Ava's eyes. Glad you came. Thanks for inviting us, Ava said, her voice smaller than usual. Crowds weren't her thing. Come on, want to show you something. He led them to a quieter section near the garage where older members sat in folding chairs, talking low. The conversation stopped when Stone approached. This is Ava, Stone said. The one I told you about. An older man with silver hair and a scar across his knuckles stood. Heard you've got good eyes, kid. Ava shrugged. I just take pictures. You do more than that, Stone said. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a small pin. Brushed silver, the Iron King's emblem etched cleanly into the metal. Simple, understated, meaningful dot, he held it out. This isn't for being brave. It's for paying attention when everyone else looked away. Ava stared at the pin, then at Stone. I didn't do anything special. That's exactly why it matters, Ricky said from behind her. You saw something wrong and spoke up because it needed saying. Sarah's eyes glistened, but she stayed quiet. Ava took the pin carefully, turning it over in her palm. The weight of it felt heavier than it should. Her throat tightened. She'd expected nothing, but this small piece of metal meant someone had seen her seeing. That mattered more than she knew how to say. She looked up at Stone, then at the faces watching her. Thank you. The words came out smaller than she intended. Stone nodded. You've got a standing invitation here. Every gathering, every barbecue, there's always a chair for you. The rest of the afternoon passed easily. Ava took photos, candid shots of members laughing, kids playing, the way smoke curled from the grill into golden hour light. Her mom relaxed, talking with some of the other families. For a few hours, the weight of the past month lifted as the sun dropped lower. Stone found Ava sitting alone on a picnic table, reviewing her photos. Mind if I sit? She scooted over. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Stone spoke. Your mom mentioned your dad's deployed. When's he due back? 3 months, Ava said, not looking up from her phone. He sends messages when he can. Short ones, mostly just checking in. Stone nodded slowly. What's his name? Ben. Ben Heidgrove. Stone went still. Ava glanced up, catching the shift in his expression. You know him? I served with a Hargrove, Stone said carefully. Years ago. Different unit, same base for a while. If it's the same guy, he was sharp. Noticed things before they became problems. Ava's face lit up. That sounds like him. He always says people ignore the quiet things that save them. Stone's throat tightened. He taught you that. Everything I know about watching, Avis said. He gave me his old camera when I was 8. Said the world makes more sense when you slow down and look at it. Stone was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached for his phone, scrolling through old photos until he found one. A group shot desert backdrop, soldiers in tactical gear. He zoomed in on a face in the second row. That him? Ava leaned closer, eyes widening. That's my dad. Stone stared at the photo, then at the girl beside him. Ben's daughter. The kid who'd inherited his instincts, his attention to detail, his quiet courage. Small world, Stone said softly, something shifting behind his eyes. Did you know him well? Well enough to trust him in bad situations. You pulled me out of one once. Spotted movement I missed. Saved 3 of us. Stone pocketed his phone. He's a good man. You got his eyes. I mean, the way you see things. Ava smiled, a real one. He'd probably say the same thing you did. That paying attention isn't special, but it is, Stone said. Most people move through the world blind to what's right in front of them. Your dad saw things. You do too. They sat together as the light faded, the party winding down around them. Sarah found them eventually, saying it was time to go. Stone walked them to their car. Before Ava climbed in, he put a hand on her shoulder. When your dad gets back, tell him Stone from Kandahar says hello, and tell him his kid's doing him proud. Ava nodded, clutching the pen in her hand. On the drive home, Sarah glanced at her daughter in the rearview mirror. You okay? Yeah, Ava said quietly, staring out the window. I think Dad would have liked them. I think so too. The pen found a place on Ava's desk next to her dad's old camera. She kept photographing her street, her school, the moments people rushed past. She kept noticing, and every month when the Iron Kings gathered, there was a chair waiting. Sometimes she showed up, sometimes she didn't. But it was always there, a reminder that paying attention mattered, that quiet acts of courage didn't need applause, that some families were built not by blood, but by respect. Ava never set out to be a hero. She just paid attention when everyone else looked away. What would you do if you noticed something off in your neighborhood? Would you speak up or walk past? Drop your thoughts below. And if this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to embrace the journey for more incredible, true stories of everyday courage. See you in our next video.